Leo XIV, General Audience, St. Peter's Square, Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. Cycle of Catechesis, Jubilee 2025, Jesus Christ Our Hope, Part 4, the Resurrection of Christ and the Challenges of the Contemporary World. This is the second of that cycle. The Resurrection of Christ, the Response of to human sadness. Dear brothers and sisters, good morning and welcome to you all. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is an event that one never finishes contemplating and meditating on, and the more one explores it, the more one is filled with wonder, drawn in as if by an overwhelming yet fascinating light. It was an explosion of life and joy that changed the meaning of reality itself from negative to positive. Yet, it did not happen in a striking way, much less in a violent one, but gently, hidden, one might say, humbly. Today we reflect on how Christ's resurrection can heal one of the malaise of our time, sadness. Intrusive and widespread, sadness accompanies the days of many people. It is a feeling of precariousness, at times profound desperation, which invades one's inner space and seems to prevail over any impetus to joy. Sadness robs life of meaning and vigor, turning it into a directionless and meaningless journey. This very current experience reminds us of the famous account in the Gospel of Luke. There he's referencing chapter 24, verses 13 and 29, of the two disciples of Emmaus. Disappointed and discouraged, they leave Jerusalem, leaving behind the hopes they had held in Jesus, who had been crucified and entombed. In the opening lines, this episode presents a paradigm of human sadness, the end of the objective to which so much energy has been invested, the destruction of what seemed to be the essence of their lives. Their hope is dashed, desolation has taken hold of their hearts. Everything has imploded in a very short space of time between Friday and Saturday in a dramatic sequence of events. The paradox is truly emblematic. This sad journey of defeat and return to ordinary life occurs on the same day as the victory of light, on the task that has been fully consummated. The two men turn their backs on Golgotha, on the terrible scene of the cross, still imprinted on their eyes and their hearts. It seems that all is lost. They must return to their former lives, keeping a low profile and hoping not to be recognized. At a certain point, a traveler joins the two disciples, perhaps one of the many pilgrims who have been to Jerusalem for Easter. It's the risen Jesus, but they do not recognize him. Sadness clouds their vision, erasing the promise that the Master had made several times, that he would be killed and then on the third day he would rise again. The stranger approaches and shows interest in what they're saying. The text says that the two, quote, stood still and looking sad, end quote, that's Luke 24:17. The gospel adjective used describes an all-encompassing sadness. The paralysis of the soul is apparent on their faces. Jesus listens to them, allowing them to unburden their disappointment. Then, with great frankness, he rebukes them for being, quote, foolish and slow of heart to believe that all the prophets have declared. That's verse 25. And through the scriptures, he shows that Christ had to suffer, die, and rise again. The warmth of hope is rekindled in the hearts of the two disciples, and then, when night falls, they arrive at their destination, they invite their mysterious traveling companion to stay with them. Jesus accepts and takes his seat at the table with them. Then he takes the bread, breaks it, and offers it. At that moment, the two disciples recognize him, but he immediately disappears from their view. There's referencing verses 30 to 31. The gesture of the breaking of the bread reopens their eyes of their heart, illuminating once again the vision clouded by despair. And then everything becomes clear. The shared journey, the tender and powerful word, the light of truth. Immediately joy is rekindled, energy flows back into their weary limbs, and gratitude returns to their memory, and the two hurry back to Jerusalem to tell the others everything. Quote, the Lord has risen indeed, end quote, that's from verses 34. And this adverb indeed, the certain outcome of our history as human beings is fulfilled. It's no coincidence that this is the greeting Christians exchange on Easter Day. Jesus did not rise in words, but in deeds, with his body bearing the marks of his passion, a perennial seal of his love for us. The victory of life is not an empty word, but a real, tangible fact. May the unexpected joy of the disciples of Emmaus be a gentle reminder to us when the going gets tough. It's the risen one who radically changes our perspective, instilling the hope that fills the void of sadness. On the paths of the heart, the risen one walks with us and for us. He bears witness to the defeat of death and affirms the victory of life despite the darkness of Calvary. History still has much goodness to hope for. To recognize the resurrection means to change one's outlook on the world, to return to the light to recognize the truth that has saved us and that saves us. Sisters and brothers, let us remain watchful every day in the wonder of the task of the risen Jesus. He alone makes the impossible possible. Then the Holy Father gave these special greetings. I extend a warm welcome to the English-speaking pilgrims and visitors taking part in today's audience, especially those coming from England, Scotland, Denmark, Finland, and the Netherlands, Burundi, Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Australia, Bahrain, India, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Pakistan, the Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, Vietnam, Antigua and Barbuda, Canada, the United States of America. In particular, I greet and thank the group of Friends of the Holy Father from Great Britain, who donated the portable studio for the use of the Vatican News services. It's my hope that the Jubilee will continue to be for all of you a season of spiritual renewal and growth in the joy of the gospel. Upon you and your families, I gladly invoke God's blessings of wisdom, strength, and peace.